everyone knows about virtual machines. Everybody does. Every single day, someone's coming up and learning about virtual machines for the first time, and they're going, oh, what is this technology? That's my goal in every video. I want to trick you into learning, which by the end of the video, you're like, I watched that entire thing.
Kids are easy to trick. They can install malware, they can give out credit card information, login information, home addresses.
It doesn't matter how technically inclined they might be, they have the same desire to protect the kid. All right, welcome back to our new episode of Cybercrime from the Frontline. Today is a special episode. I'm very happy to have with me your usual suspects, Bob and Catalin. Thanks, guys, for coming back. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, but of course, we have a special guest on this one. We have Network Chuck. Chuck, welcome to the show. Assuming there's people who don't know about you, tell us a couple of things.
So thank you for having me. I just make YouTube videos. I have fun online. I like to mess around with every bit of technology I can and make fun videos about it. My primary thing I love to do is just educate people, make videos that get them inspired about tech and get them inspired to just, after my video, I want them to dive deep into a technology where they're busy with it for the entire weekend. That's what I do.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. And yes, welcome to our show that also goes on YouTube. So we'll see you there. We have Catalin and Bob with us because you all share common interests and experience, and I believe we're all going to have a great convo based on that. So you guys, as always, please tell me a couple of words about you, so those who just turned their YouTube channel on just know who you are.
Okay, hi, I'm Bob. I'm a director of threat research at Bitdefender. I wear a couple of hats here, but I specialize in helping people recover from ransomware attacks, and I also handle the vulnerability research program at Bitdefender.
Hi, I'm Catalin. I'm the Chief Security Strategist for Bitdefender, and I'm your common dinosaur when it comes to education on cybersecurity. I've been here for the past 21 years, so keep them counting.
So one of the reasons why we're doing cybercrime from the Frontline is the fact that people like Bob and Catalin have such extensive experience doing what they do in cybersecurity, and a lot of the stories go unshared. So a lot of the takeaways, a lot of the knowledge is always there, but we've never put it in a format that's easy to digest. So this is why we're here. So I know that you do that for a living, and that's fantastic, but I'm hoping you're going to maybe help me extract some of this stuff out of these guys as well. So kind of to kick it off, I know some of your videos have done fantastic. They're millions of views because they're fascinating, and the subjects themselves are great. And you're very familiar which those are. So I want to touch base on some of those, and maybe you want to bring some of those conversations on, but also if you do me a favor, some of the videos that, I'm not saying they didn't do well, but some videos just, there's maybe niche topics, but you hold dear. I'd love to touch base on those as well.
Yes, so more of my popular videos, which have just skyrocketed, and probably the reason you know about me, virtual machines. So I taught the topic of virtual machines probably 6 years ago. It's still, to this day, one of my top performing videos week after week. And that surprised me because it's such a simple topic that you think people are like, everyone knows about virtual machines. Everybody
No.
does. But no, every single day, someone's coming up and learning about virtual machines for the first time, and they're going, oh, what is this technology? So that was a video where I thought I captured very well that excitement of like, this is a really fascinating thing. It's been around for a while, but if you're just now discovering this, oh my goodness, your whole world is going to open up. So videos like virtual machines, teaching how to use Docker networking, those fundamental concepts, people just, it's so fun to introduce them to the container world, the virtual machine world. So those videos have done great. Normally when I ride any kind of wave, so AI is a big wave right now. So if you strategically make a good AI video, oh, it's going to do fantastic. I just posted one today on how to use N8N, and that's doing very well, which we are actually very happy about. However, bad videos, AI videos are hit or miss. We've made some amazing AI videos, but there are some where we were talking about how to, let's see, I did a cloning your own voice video, which I think is very cool. Didn't do so well. We did a few more AI videos that I think people are getting tired of AI at this point. They're getting AI fatigue, where it's a very exciting technology, and obviously it's the future. But I think people are like, I don't want to hear this from you, Chuck. We want to just hear about cybersecurity and networking and virtual machines. Stick to that. And then one topic I have to try and steer myself away from, which I'm passionate about. I think it's very neat. And even saying this now, I'm like, should I say this? Cryptocurrency.
Okay.
I enjoy cryptocurrency. I love the idea, and I'm more so like the technology. But when I make a cryptocurrency video, oh my gosh, my audience comes at me with pitchforks. Like, I'm done. So those do not perform well at all.
There's a lot of passion to cryptocurrency for sure. Technology is fascinating, and that's um, I shouldn't bother anybody, of course, but when it comes to actual, placing bets on different currencies, that's when people get very tribal, I guess. Understandably, I think one of your other very well-performing videos was related to the dark web. I think you went on a really cool walkthrough there, and I know there's just never enough good content like that. And shout out to, for example, to our colleagues who are dealing with that as well. We've seen great demos of going on the dark web as well, and it's always surprising people. There's always something that they haven't known. So to that effect, always wanted to ask you if you felt that the audience really is just consuming and putting it aside, or really learning things and then reapplying them in the real world. Do you think that the following also goes to because I know you're also passionate about careers in cybersecurity. So I'm trying to kind of gauge how you're marrying these two roles.
Well, I'm here to testify. I learned a couple of things from the Chuck's videos in the past. Like we were just talking about his trips to Japan and the way he assembled a portable NAS drive to keep his information safe. And I was like, that's one of the first times I made contact with your videos, and I was like, I have to replicate that because I'm always on the road. So yeah, 100% agreed with what Chuck shows to the world.
I appreciate that. And I often wonder the same thing myself. The way I structure my videos, you're going to be excited. Like, the way you structure a good YouTube video is you try to get them hooked. Like, okay, here's what I'm going to show you. Here's why it's exciting. And then hopefully I grab you. I've got you by the shirt, like, come on, let's go. And then you can go through a progression where I'm almost tricking you into learning. That's my goal in every video. I want to trick you into learning, which by the end of the video, you're like, I watched that entire thing. What was I doing? I learned how to hack something. That was kind of neat. I hope most people are. But when I get to go out and do things like this, when I meet people, they will come up and face-to-face tell me, hey, Chuck, I watched this video, or I watched this video, and I learned how to do this. And now I'm in cybersecurity, or now I'm a network engineer. I have a career. So that does happen. But I'm sure there's passive listeners who just kind of turn the videos on, don't really know what's going on. But I try to structure my videos to where you would feel uncomfortable if you didn't step in and try to do what I'm talking about, because you feel like you're being left out. And that's my whole goal there.
And when you're doing research, for example, and I don't want to go that route too much, I'm just curious. Of course, you have different resources, and I wonder if chaps like Catalin and Bob, or like him, you have like a whole plethora of people that you connect to the research, or how does it work when you research the topics?
I don't really have many people to help me with research. It's a very niche thing to try and make a YouTube video that, well, doing YouTube in general is kind of a niche thing. But to have a team that understands YouTube and do research for technical topics is a very rare thing too. So normally my research is just me. It's me for 2 or 3 days scouring the internet, now with a bit of help from ChatGPT or Claude, or whatever you can think of. Yeah, but most of the time it's just me. I'm a very I like to grab a lot of topics and just study it very deeply, read them a few times. I'll grab YouTube videos and watch them over and over. But it's a very intense process for myself, because most of the time when I'm making a video, when you see me talk about any given topic, I've just learned that an hour ago. Which also makes it better because it's fresh in my mind, and I know what it feels like to learn it for the first time because I just did it. And so I can bring that into the video. So yeah, most of the time I'm just now learning it. It's fresh, and hopefully I can bring that energy to the video.
Absolutely, I love it, and from personal experience as well. It's when you learn something new, but then you have to talk about it in whatever setting and form, and it's into it just cements it, and it just becomes part of yourself as well. So with that in mind, I'd like to kind of take all that experience that you had and let's wrap it into something practical. So all the subjects you ever discussed, for example, somebody would say, hey, Chuck, based off your extensive experience in cybersecurity, how do you protect your family, for example? So you're a big family man, right? So you have teenage kids and that's probably on your mind a lot. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers are going to be like, okay, Chuck, bring that to the table. Tell us a couple of things about what your best practices are. And even if it sounds like a easy lowball subject, I'm sure it's not for a lot of people. And you guys also have kids. So how about you run us through that a little
A
bit?
passionate subject for me because I do have 6 daughters, 3 of which are active internet users. They get on the Raspberry Pis I've set up. They have iPads and phones, and they use laptops. So my first thought is I have to protect them, not just from like getting clickbaited or clicking on scams. No, there's people who target individuals like them. So my first line of defense is at the network. I put a firewall in place. I use Unify Ubiquity equipment, and I make sure I have DNS filters in to where we're blocking most of the stuff they try to access that might be bad. When they get curious, kids are curious and they're going to reach out. I remember myself, no one was blocking me. I wish they had been. The kids are very curious. So I have DNS blocks at the top end. And normally how that works, like I use Ubiquity, and that's going to be, they have their own DNS filter process. I've made videos about Pi-hole or I forget the other one now, but those are great little DNS servers you can put on a Raspberry Pi into your network, and you can make any kind of rule you want to. You can block any kind of explicit content for your kids reaching out. So that's the first line of defense I have is like for my kids, when they're going out, how can I protect them from themselves? Also at the device level, because like I'm expecting my kids will eventually figure out how to bypass DNS because they're my kids.
They'll watch
So-
a video, explain it to her.
Exactly. So I'm expecting they're probably going to learn from my videos at some point. Right now they haven't done that yet. So I do have a piece of software on their device. It's a company I really haven't seen anywhere else, but I happen to find it. It's called Custodio, and it installs as kind of a background process. It runs the VPN on a phone. They never see it, but whenever they Google something weird, whenever they do any kind of thing strange, I get an email about it. So it's kind of spy-ish. I get that, but it's my kids, and I've got to kind of be in touch with what my kids are doing. And then there's just we have general rules where we shut off the internet at certain times. I have rules that do that. I want to limit what they are actually doing to very specific times. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to have to really start looking at now is LLMs and AI and how we give that to our kids. Kids are not going to know how to properly use AI the way we do just for work. We know when to use AI. We know when to not use AI. Kids are just going to use it for everything. It might become their best friend. They're going to use it to cheat on their homework. They're going to use it to ask weird things. So I have things in place that protect my kids from using AI in a bad way. Now, I think our kids should use AI. Don't get me wrong. Like they need to use it. So I self-host my AI. I have a self-host interface called OpenWeb UI. I did a video on this, and it's where you can actually bring in all the popular AI softwares, OpenAI, Claude, whatever, a local one if you want to keep it safe. And I put in rules. I say you cannot help the kids with the homework. You cannot, well, you can help them. You can't give them answers. You can't write essays. You can't do anything that helps them cheat, but you can absolutely guide them and help them along. And I do have those chats. I'm available to see each chat. So I guess my rule of thumb with my kids is put in a bunch of protections, but also check in every once in a while. Defense in depth for your children. You got to have that. And always check in and make sure the processes are still working. I don't know. What do you guys do? You have kids.
Well, yeah, I have a pre-teenager, I guess, now. And things are starting to get complicated because they don't only want to access the internet on their own terms and have devices like mom and dad now do, but they also want to become part of the infrastructure. And I've had some weird conversations with my kid in which he was asking on how to deploy a server on the network because my tab, for instance. So I was like faced with the challenge of accommodating this request at the expense of security of my network. And I was like, I'll hold your hand. I'll try to investigate how to do it safely. But I realized that once you open that door, you can no longer close it, and it becomes increasingly expensive for a parent to secure the network when you have to host the server that's exposed to the internet. And yeah, one of the first things I did to my network was to segregate it to make sure that I have a safe space for work and a safe space for family shared resources, and another safe space that's completely exposed to the internet. And if anybody hacks into it, that's that. Well, that's the server and start from scratch. Another thing that I'm doing religiously is make sure that everything that's connected to the internet and supports it runs a security page, a cybersecurity solution that acts as a safety net for my kid. Last but not least, there's a very secret technology that's called wife. She goes to well, the kids' conversation every once in a while and makes sure that these stay civil and we're in significantly. It's one of the things that I'm a little bit more afraid that malware is inappropriate interactions with with strangers on the internet. And that is a warning sign to should be a warning sign to every parent. Kids are easy to trick. They can install malware. They can give out credit card information, login information, home addresses. Experience cyberbullying for the first time, and so on. The internet is a large place, and not everybody is your friend. Now, we have been talking about this from a cybersecurity slash networking engineering mm, expert's point of view, but that doesn't apply to all parents. Most of them do not master these skills to keep kids safe, to keep their own network safe. They don't want to invest a lot of money in that. So probably a baseline to bring everybody on the same page would be move your kids to the guest network. That's how you keep your core network safe. Have a chat with them every once in a while about cybersecurity. Bring them up to speed to what threats they might encounter. Make them open up to you as trustworthy people who can guide them through troubles, whatever that trouble might be, and teach them not to share private information with people whenever they're approached. Never give out home addresses. We're learning at school. You do not take pictures of credit cards and give them to strangers because it's spelled wrong.
I'm glad you said that. That's one thing I try and do as well as education. Just regularly checking in with my kids and saying, okay, do you understand these threats? Do you understand you can't share your information? There was one time where they were playing Roblox. Great game. Like, I don't know how they make that game. It's amazing. It's free. But they were just like giving out their names. One kid asked for their address and they were about to give it. I'm like, no, stop. So we don't have Roblox in the house anymore.
Oh, that's extreme.
And Roblox is one of those games where there are so many risks attributed to it that I'm like, I don't know if I can be on top of it all the time and be able to educate my kids in the proper way. So I just say no Roblox. We don't need it.
Fortunately, I'm not there yet. So my kids are quite small right now, so I don't need to secure any network for them. But yeah, obviously I have various routers in the house with various Wi-Fi's. Each have their own security depending on who's using them. So there's one general at the first floor for everybody to use. That's a bit restricted, and there's another one for me in the office, which has no rule on it because I have to do everything.
He's a responsible adult.
Yeah.
Good thing is that when you come from a cybersecurity background, you kind of expect threats to show up around you, and not only around you, but inside your home. So we're kind of adapt at making sure that whatever we do stays safe. We have a lot of enemies outside. Well, one enemy on the inside wouldn't make any difference.
Now, I'm curious, what do you have on each system? You said you had a system that's like a security agent. What are you doing inside your home?
Well, I run Bitdefender. Of course.
Here's the plug.
Yes,
I set him up for that.
one of the hardest decisions I've made was whether to go for a consumer solution, like whatever we have for the home user, or if I should be better off managing my fleet as a small enterprise. Because at the end of the day, we have somewhere around 40 devices inside the home, 10 of which are laptops, phones, and tablets. So we were like, we need to find out a proper way to manage this and stay on top of security updates, policies, logging, and so on. And from a small home that I used to have now, we've reached a point where I'm more of a small business than a regular home.
You have a rack in your house.
Yeah.
Admit it.
And this is exactly what I absolutely don't want us to frustrate any average. I want to say not as cybersecurity savvy parents as you. And I want to send a message of encouragement, because one thing that I've seen that's constant is that every parent has the same desire to offer as much security and protection to their kids. So it doesn't matter how technically inclined they might be, they have the same desire to protect the kids. So the fact that you guys might be a little more advanced and you probably want to go the rabbit holes that nobody else will, there's definitely some middle ground where everybody can probably get there. So, I mean, just kind of as a reminder, right? Cybersecurity is more valuable when you make it harder and harder and you increase the cost of attack. So you guys are just definitely going down that route. But sometimes, even less is enough if done at all. So and
Block social media, or you let it off?
No social media.
No social media. So
Yeah.
you block that too.
Yeah, no social media. It's something that I see the power of, but I see it's a powerful double-edged sword.
It's addictive.
It's addictive, and I don't want that. So they have like what's the app? I forget the app. It's more of a local, like they can talk to their friends, and it's just their friends. It doesn't go public. So we do things like that. But social media, it's something I do block heavily for my kids.
what happens when that opens up? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't got there yet.
Because obviously, I mean, I'll be the old guy here, and then you guys are probably around, and we're all around the same age. So I'm pretty sure that we didn't have the social media tools that are available today when we were their age, definitely. So we kind of walked into them when we're more of adults. So I guess, yeah, we knew how to handle some things, I guess, or learn along the ways that had more discernment than the kids. But like, I'm really curious what would happen when this would open up for them as they go of age.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you think about it.
they're not unfamiliar with it, obviously, because I'm a social media person. That's what I do for a living. So they understand. I'll try and make them make posts for me, because I try to intern my kids and teach them about how to do my business. One day they're going to take over. I already have one I'm looking at, my middle child. She's my CEO. She has the personality. She's going to do it. So they understand, and I expose them to the bits of social media, and my wife and I will show them. So they're not unfamiliar with it. But I do wonder when I just unleash it upon them and they're not familiar with how to deal with all these messages and all the inputs. So it's going to be education for me. It's going to be teaching. So hopefully I can instill enough in them without giving them the experience to not be completely overwhelmed. But I do love what you said about most families aren't going to go into they're not going to go grab a Raspberry Pi and try to do some crazy project. They're not going to go buy a full enterprise network and deploy it. They're not going to have a rack in their closet like me. That's not everyone. And Bob.
Literally Cynics class.
Now I will say,
Skeletons in the closets.
I think everyone should do this right now. It's very fun. It's a fun hobby, and it protects your family. It's like a win-win. But if you are looking to secure your family, education is going to be the biggest thing. So for yourself as a parent, know a little bit about how the internet works. Know that DNS is probably one of the best things you can do for your home network. That you can buy any standard home router. Your home router right now probably has an opportunity for you to go in, change the DNS server, which is what your computer will use to figure out where websites are. You can put in a DNS server from Cisco Umbrella, from other companies that will filter these things for you. You can say, I don't want to see any explicit stuff. I don't want to see any drugs or any kind of site, and they will protect your kids to a point. So just doing that one simple thing will probably protect your family for the most part for a while. Not completely safe, but it's a good step.
Right, I'm sure there's going to be more content around this, both on Network Chuck and in our channels as well, because it's something that we are obviously keen and passionate about. I want to bring up everybody's favorite topic, AI, because we kind of have to browse it a little bit.
We should do it now because we are going to get the same exhaust that happened with cryptocurrencies. Like there was a huge topic and now nobody wants to hear about. So we should talk about AI now because in a few months nobody will want to.
Nobody will want to talk about it, but I mean, obviously, I want to apply it to our previous conversation actually, and it kind of spills into that. So obviously, from both ends, it helps sometimes. It helps in cybersecurity. It helps in your job. It helps in our jobs and everything, and then it potentially helps your family as well. But at the same time, it obviously brings new threats as well. So I think it blends in with securing the family as well. So one of the things that we've been seeing and we've been talking significantly about is obviously scams and phishing and so on have been very powerful tools that are more sinister than your favorite virus payloads, because they're so emotionally powerful and reach so many people so easily and so cheaply, and how much more powerful they are now because of AI, because all of a sudden that phone call doesn't sound weird anymore. It's a familiar voice and whichever language you're using, now it sounds correct in that particular language, and the grammar is fine, and maybe the message isn't crazy anymore, right? So I was just talking on the way here, we're driving to the office here, and my wife gets a call from somebody that was saying that the Romanian police are investigating something.
The bank account.
She's been doing something with her ID, and they were trying to, but it was in English. So we're not quite there yet.
No, I got it in Romanian as well.
Because, I was thinking about it, you get that in English in a country that's not, the main language is not English, it's an easy, giveaway. But at the same time, I know that's not how these things work. I know they're better and they're getting much better still. So, obviously you guys talk about this all the time. So, I'll be again, like, what do we do? What's going on? And what happens when it hallucinates as well? Because that's my favorite topic. So,
Well, I can see like what I'm seeing right now is the hyper targeted abilities now with AI. They can really figure out a local area. They can. I know one scam that actually affected my family. We got a call, or my mom got a call from the local sheriff and left a voicemail saying my sister. They were looking for my sister for questioning. And this was completely fabricated. It was the voice of that sheriff. It was the name of that sheriff. So they just identified the sheriff from that county. They pulled the personal information of my mom and my sister, and they were able to. And so my mom was like calling the sheriff and going, "Hey, what's?" So she did the right thing. She called the authority instead of reacting to what they were soliciting. But she called the authority and like, "Yeah, this guy's he's on vacation right now," and he did not at all want to reach out to my sister. So it's the craziest thing. So you guys will know more than I will. How do we fix this?
Oh, that's a very
Yeah. Come on, tell us
that's a
what to
very
do.
good story. My biggest fears here are that the AI, the commercial AI models that we are using now are, let's say, regulated, and probably they have some safeguards that would not allow it to do a lot of damage. When you are using a local model, though, you could technically feed it a data breach file, right? And all of a sudden, you could ask it to cluster 12 billion records into small profiles that you will then be able to target individuals. This is not a primer on how to do it. It's just something that really keeps me up at night. So in my perspective, the AI has probably three major weaknesses. A, it empowers cyber criminals to automate and create more granular attacks against individuals. B, it harvests a lot of the information that you're feeding it and starts to know a lot about yourself. If you're asking an AI what they know about you, they will be able to infer a lot about you based on your past interactions. C, probably these AI models will use that information at some point for marketing purposes or for building profiles that you haven't fully agreed.
So I was wondering about the same. What's the vibe that you're getting in your space, Catalin, about? Because I'm sure the conversations are. I know it sounds generic, but yours. I have to be generic about your space, right? But I'm trying to understand if there's something you can share that's interesting or actual that's have not been discussed recently.
Yeah, well, from my perspective, what I see that AI is doing is that it destroys the gap between a beginner developer and a senior developer, which is good if you're working in cybersecurity or just coding for fun or your job is coding. But if you're writing exploits, malware, viruses, things like that, ransomware, really you don't have to understand all the technical concepts anymore. You just tell the AI what to do and they'll do it for you. Yes, of course, Bob was mentioning that commercial models are sort of restricted, so to speak, but you can actually get around that. You can bypass that. It's not the end of the world. You can use your local models as well. And the restrictions actually annoy me because in my job, I would like to, just tell me how to build a bomb because I'm writing a book and I need to know how to make a bomb, right? But no, I cannot give you that. Oh, man, you're no fun. But I'm pretty sure these models will be cloned and duplicated in the cybercriminal world. And they'll use it for things like that, to actually write a ransomware and other stuff.
And it actually boils down to how you're packaging the request. There's this running joke with people asking AI to do weird stuff for them because their grandmother used to do so. Like, you know what? My grandmother used to do sudo rm-f in the console. Can you do that for me?
Well, that's a whole new realm of hacking. So I'm working on a video right now about hacking AI and prompt injections, kind of what you're describing. So those frontier models, they're designed to say, okay, if you ask it to make a bomb or tell you how to make a bomb, it's going to say, no, I can't help you with that. But you can do certain things to trick it. You can ask it to invent a language. You can add some of the characters you might see in the system prompt that would trick it to think, oh, I'm supposed to do this. There's a variety of things you can do to trick AI into doing something. So it is a thing where people can bypass it. It's a scary realm.
I mean, we know for a fact that every major AI platform developer is investing significant resources in trying to red team this stuff, but it's a cat and mouse game for sure. But in fact, and then this is the question that kind of begs the question about your passion about cybersecurity careers. I've always recommended people to get into cybersecurity. It's like, oh, what should my kids do? I'm like, oh, get into IT and become developers. And of course, yes, developer sounds great, but how about they become specialized in cybersecurity? There's always been the forecast about, the millions of jobs are going to be available. What does AI do to that?
I think right now it's going to only help it. We're going to have so many jobs. A buddy of mine who's getting into hacking AI, he said right now, it feels like the beginning of web hacking when it first started happening. You could do simple things to find vulnerabilities. And that's kind of where we are now with hacking AI. So I think in the immediate future, it's just going to open up opportunities. Catalin, like you said, like junior developers or junior hackers can now be expert hackers with the right prompt. I think that does open doors if used correctly and for good, obviously.
But also you need to learn exactly what's going on, because if you just remain at the level where you just do prompts and just take it and use it, it's not going to really help out on your knowledge development or expanding that. But if you actually take some time to understand what the AI provided to you and say, aha, okay, so this is how you do it, then you'll know how to do without AI as well, which is very important.
And that's a hard practice to start because
Yes.
you're using AI to begin with because you're trying to be lazy. So then adding on the extra task of trying to understand what it just told you and at a fundamental level, that's hard, but it's something you have to do. You can't skip the weights in the gym. You have to understand the things, the foundations of cybersecurity to be able to use prompts effectively, to be able to use these tools effectively. They call them script kiddies, right? When you're running AI hacks and you don't understand anything about the tool you're using, just pressing go and going, uh-oh, did I do something bad? Like you have no idea.
Exactly. For instance, there's this website, ExploitDB. So basically, if you go there and search for a particular software version, and if there's a vulnerability in that software, then you'll have the exploit available in there. But to prevent script kiddies, there's always a minor mistake in that exploit, so it doesn't really work. Okay, so you need to understand the exploit in order to fix it, so you can actually make that script. So maybe for AI, we should also do this. It provides you something, but hey, the trick is to find the mistake and fix it.
I might put that into my daughter's AI.
There you go.
I'll be able to tell.
So when we're talking about, the appearance, the changes that AI is doing to the cybersecurity workforce, and obviously, I mean, we can try to guess what's going on, but at the same time, I'm trying to understand from you guys' experience, what are the most valuable things and certifications and trainings and conferences, CTFs and such that people can go do in 2025 that'll be valuable for their development in cybersecurity. Catalin, you want to?
I can start, sure. Yeah, I think the recent developments in AI actually brings a lot of challenges for the institutions that create trainings and certifications, because I think most of them, or many of them, were pretty lazy into updating the materials. There are certifications out there that the manuals have been written 6 years ago and they haven't changed them. And now with the rise of AI, there's other players that are developing these new trainings, and people don't buy from the older ones. So it brings a lot of challenges to them, which I think it's a good thing, because it will force them to update, to bring new materials, and so on. And also, when you get those certifications, I think the exams have to be tutored now, so you won't cheat with AI, right? You have to do it on your own, and because you can easily pass an exam with the AI. So that's they're still relevant. You still have to do them, but I think as an employer, if somebody comes up, hey, like, hey, I have 20 certifications, you need as an employer to know what those certifications are and how exactly you obtain them. Because if you can cheat on them, they're irrelevant in their CV, in their resume. So.
Well, that's all new. That just wasn't a thing until a couple of years ago, actually. That's just crazy. So, yeah, what about you, Bob?
AI has complicated things by an order of magnitude, but what I haven't seen is the traditional CTFs. Let's talk about this perspective for a second, because you brought it up. Yeah, CTFs are good. They teach you how to do privilege escalations, on how to exploit buffer overflows. But I haven't seen CTFs focusing around the use of AI to reach your goal. And probably that should be explored, because AI is becoming more and more of a sidekick to both cybersecurity and cybercrime now.
I can tell you why that's happening, because I attended a CTF. I was part of the organizing team, and the other people that brought one of the challenges was to exploit an LLM.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like 160 attendees at that CTF. When they all started using that, it became very expensive for the organizer. So that's the challenge, right?
Okay, right. But we should not miss out on the fact that with the expensive use of AI in corporations, they kind of become everybody's digital assistant. And if you can control the LLM that the corporation is using, you can actually poison all the work of all the employees in that company. And this is kind of both scary and fascinating at the same time. What I like to do is take part into what's happening in the cybersecurity industry by attending conferences. And you ask which ones are amazing. DEF CON is an amazing conference. The Chaos Computer Club conference is amazing.
If you can get in.
Are amazing. Yeah, of course. That and getting away from home, because that happens around Christmas every single year. So it's a little bit tricky.
Where is that conference?
Berlin usually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the tickets are sold out within an hour. So that's why.
Y'all will get me in, don't worry.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
I can social engineer my way.
yeah, that's probably what they want you to do as well. Sometimes that happens, but Yeah, and then DEF CON is also my favorite conference for sure. It's just the kind of people that go there, and it's all the white and black hackers, and everybody's there.
It's my first time this year.
Is it?
I've never been.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm
You're going to do some episodes after that.
yeah.
You're gonna love it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it might be one of those things where, like, we talk about, going to some remote island nobody knew about, 20 years ago, and now everybody's going to, and we might be like, oh yeah, it's not like it used to be. It's changed. So it might be just this different. But the fact that it's not a commercial place where people go and promote whatever new feature or platform, is just true cybersecurity interested people, focused people that are just there to share ideas and learn and do things. And it's not on-prem all the time. It's what happens in, whatever bar room somewhere where some people may order to just exchange ideas. That's a lot of stuff that we've learned and shared there that we
Multiple
appreciate.
benefits from the exchange of like very hot research, fresh out of the oven, to the point where you have to figure out the local badge challenge, and to the point where you actually set up relationships with people, peers of yours in different companies that can help you rapidly take out a command and control center, or stop a server that's sending spam, without the hassle of going through the legal and help desk procedures.
And the best part is that in 99% of the presentations, at the end, the POC, the code is shared with the audience. So it's about giving to the community, not saying at the end, if you want to use it, buy it. No, here you go for free.
That's fantastic. And I love what you said just now, Bob. Like, it's about connecting with people. And I think it's not just cybersecurity, it's every industry, but like networking, getting out to meet people. That really is how you start a career and advance your career. It really is about who you know. At the end of the day, people are the most valuable resource we have. We have to say that now as AI is becoming more popular, right? Make sure everyone knows that. But if you're having trouble getting that first job, become part of a community. Reach out, go to conferences if you can. I know they're expensive, but they are worth it. You meet people. You're rubbing shoulders with people who have hacked a million things. They're working at massive companies, and they're just there in a t-shirt, wearing a badge, and you can talk with them. It's a powerful thing to do. So value relationships, value getting out there and networking at whatever stage you're at. If you're just starting, or you're halfway through getting your first Security Plus certification, like whatever it is, start talking with people. That's how you're going to build a career.
And I feel like, out of my experience as a adjunct professor at university, as a master's level, AI doesn't scare me that much in that sense that it's going to replace everything and people are going to be in trouble, particularly because I guided exams and teaching and results by allowing the students to just Google things if they wanted during the exam. It didn't matter. What I wanted and see is that they could think critically and be able to extract that information and build upon the task that was given, and not the ability to collect and memorize, which is something that,
Access
AI
to
can do.
knowledge is easy. What you do with the knowledge is actually making the difference.
So I feel like, I'm sure AI becomes, ever so more powerful in the future, but, having the ability to do critical thinking and putting things together, asking the right questions, I think that just is what, needs to, is what I want to have as a skill, a set of skills when I want to, help myself with AI. It's just not ignore AI, it's going to be around, whatever. It's just how we able to empower what we do by asking the right questions, being curious, this and that. So I'm not negative about it. I'm positive, and I feel like there's a great outcome towards. But obviously at the same time, we're seeing the reverse of that, where the attackers, the bad guys, are exploiting that even more perfectly as well.
How do you see AI as a teaching instrument where AI only offers one single source of truth? Like, the question is a little bit more complex, because when we used to do research, we used to Google stuff up, and we would go through 1 million pages, and we decided which is the right answer. Do you see any dangers in the way that we're relying on AI to research, and the AI will give you only one answer that you should take it as it is?
personally at this very moment, I'm terrified by it, and I have consistent conversations with, for example, my partner about this, where she uses it a lot, more so than I am, to get actual, to get definitive truths about whatever subject matter, and to me that's scary because I always go back and I'm like, okay, hey, I call ChatGPT, I call him Chad, right, or Claude or whatever it is, and I'm like, okay, where'd you get this information from? And I've multiple times I've caught the tool in making something up or being biased about things, right? So I'm like, I need to challenge that. And my partner, she's always like, oh, this is so much better than your old Googling thing. And I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. We used to go through that SIF, critical thinking, what worked. So, but I think in the near future, I think that can be technically overcome.
But have
The
you noticed
question
that
is,
it's also has the ability to lie to you?
100%, yes.
And I'm not talking about hallucinations. So
Oh, yeah.
I was doing an
Yes.
exercise. I was trying to ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to build a small assembly code that does a performing task. So he provided the code. I compile it. Doesn't work. And I tell him it doesn't work. You're very right, Catalin. Here is the revised code. This one will work. It's been verified. I compile it. Doesn't work. It still does work. Oh my God, Catalin, you're right again. And I kept that like several iterations.
So at this point, like you said, like these examples are terrifying for me because there's so many people who never questioning the answers, right? While I do strongly believe that it can fix this stuff, technologies will empower them to. The only thing that we have for them right now is as a solution for this is to be curious enough to ask for the sources.
And be on the lookout, because sometimes what the AI suggests is not 100% compliant to the good practices. Hiding API keys in code, for instance, rather than in its own environment variable file, is something that the AI will gladly do for you. And if you're not aware of that, you will happily push the code to GitHub or
It won't discern research that's explaining how not to do things. Is just going to see a lot of it online and be like, yeah, that's going to be a great practice. How about doing default passwords too? Because everybody seems to be doing it.
To your point,
Right?
if you ask for references, if it gives you references, a list of links, make sure you also check those links.
It'll give you fake references.
Exactly.
Go to a
Exactly.
404. You're like, wait, what? Where'd you get that information from? You just made that up.
Because sometimes like, okay, first verify that the link actually exists. Open the link and verify that the information that it provided to you, it's actually there. Because I had the surprise to go on the link, check the document, and there was nothing there.
I'm sure it's just like mostly, I want to believe, I'm not positive this is the case, but I'm sure they have a flag in there like, we want this guy to be very talkative and never be in a situation where they don't have an answer, so they're just, hey, go with it, right? I'm sure that flag could just be turned off, but the UX would be bad, so they're like, okay, let's keep it going for a little bit. So hopefully the two things meet in the middle at some point where actual sources are valid, and the weighting of the information is done, where you're not getting the worst kind of outcome in the answers or not getting it made up stuff as well. Like this was recent, we were just, this is obviously anecdotal, but we're talking about why certain characters of a particular book or different names in different languages, and it just totally made up a name in a book in a language that didn't exist because it assumed that's the answer we wanted. And then when asked, we're like, why'd you make it up? I was like, well, I don't know, I just did it. So yeah, so that's great. But anyway, we can yap about this forever, and I don't want to go on. I've asked a lot of the questions, and I appreciate you guys being patient with me and working with me on them. But I want to pass that on to you. What did we not cover? What did you want to talk about? What do you want to bring up that I didn't bring up?
Well, there is one thing I want to touch on AI. There's a paper that came out recently. I think you probably have all seen it, where it said AI is making us dumber.
Yeah.
Or offloading parts of our cognitive abilities to its thinking. With your experience and all of your experiences, are you feeling that? Are you worried about society in general as our kids are coming up? And I've met some kids in school, they can barely form two sentences together. They're relying on AI for everything. what do you think is going to happen to us, and how are you thinking we can combat that?
That's actually why I started this conversation with Dan earlier, because as a professor, he knows how his students perform and what shortcuts they take to get to the point where they want on time. So you know, what I see is that the more you're fed information, the less you're going to challenge that, and that kind of scares me, because most of the time there's no one answer that fits all scenarios. And if you're teaching somebody that this is the universal truth, you should take it and preach it further. We will degrade critical thinking or best practices to a point where we could get in danger.
So I've been thinking a lot about this, and I wrote bits of bits of text about this as well. Musings about what this all means. For example, I wrote a piece called "My Kids Won't Know How to Drive," on the assumption that in 10, 15 years from now, all available cars to buy new will be able to self-drive. And I'm very confident of that. I've experienced self-driving cars in San Francisco daily. It's a thing that's coming. It makes so much more sense. And I've been presenting this problem to my students for the better part of the last 5 to 6 years, where we're trying to understand how the world would look like in vehicles now that we don't have to drive them. Right? The steering wheel is not going to be necessary. We don't have to sit looking forward. All these things can change. So what do we do in our cars when we just have to be chauffeured around? But then moving forward, I feel like we were just talking about this with my family the other day, reminiscing how it used to be when we visited another country before cell phones, when you didn't have Google Maps, when you didn't have a cell phone to call somebody. So if you wanted to take a bus, you had to go somewhere where there was a schedule to know when the bus leaves, and there's no way to check online.
And antique things like paper maps.
Paper maps, exactly. We drove to different cities using paper maps, and we missed that exit, and there wasn't a GPS to reroute us, this and that. And then, the credit cards were not, trans-universal across, different countries. So you had to carry paper currency from each country that you would visit. So all these things happened over the last 20 years, and it's insanely changed the world we live in. So the question is, if I don't know how to ride a horse, does it matter if my kid doesn't know how to drive? So what skills do we need to carry over? Is, writing, because ChatGPT can do it better. Is that a skill that we need to absolutely ask our kids to learn, or us to save? Being able to navigate without GPS, is that something we need to learn? Like, this is the kind of questions that I ask. Like, I'm not negative about it. I don't feel this is going to destroy us completely. I feel like just we're going to get to more clarity as to what is functioning and what isn't, because the only concern I have is somebody taking the plug out and then every technology going cold.
That and the fact that
But that probably won't happen anyway, right?
maps and traffic signs are like, immutable.
Right.
They're based on the rules. What me and Chuck seemed to agree was the fact that critical thinking is important, because whatever the AI is doing, it can be poisoned. And there's a lot of effort being invested in rewriting reality to, let's say, cover for a hidden, more dangerous agenda. Disinformation is one thing. State-sponsored immixtion in history or in politics are a thing right now. And if you're losing that critical thinking, that helps you discern between what's reality and what's wishful thinking, you might be falling in a much deeper trap than not being able to ride a horse or not being able to drive a car.
I think we need to find the fourth potential scenario. Scenario 1 being Idiocracy, scenario 2 being the Terminator, scenario 3 being the Matrix. What's the fourth one?
I mean, I'd love if we had a fourth one that's more creative than all the others, because that's kind of, we have them on scene. So it's just something more creative. So maybe Chuck has an idea what that will be. But
Well, so I agree that those analogies of like, okay, our kids probably aren't going to have to learn how to drive, or maybe my grandkids won't have to learn how to drive. I used a map when I was a teenager. Now I don't have to use a map. I think those analogies don't quite land for what we're seeing with AI. I think AI is starting to remove, or at least people are relying on AI for things that make us uniquely human. I've heard it said that writing is thinking. It's how we process our ideas. And if you aren't able to communicate your ideas properly, efficiently, then it's just going to atrophy. You're not going to be able to communicate effectively with your people. And that's humans, like that's the core of who we are. It's how we network. It's just the conversations. Like right now, what we're doing. Are we just going to see AI podcasts in the future? Are we going to all just be bots sitting here? That's a good question.
We are already there.
That's
No,
true. That's true.
My concern about this is that I'm fortunate to be able to write well. I'm thankful for that, and I think I'm able to speak in a situation where other people won't speak. Like you're able to talk in front of millions of people, and not a lot of people can do that. So I won't judge the person that goes online and to peruse a model or another to be able to have a chance in a world where
Level the playing ground.
right? It's not necessarily them, but I mean, if it's required for them to be very well spoken in a certain can you blame them? They probably wouldn't be able to do that anyway.
And
So,
I know people who they will get so much anxiety just replying to an email because they feel like I don't know if that's right. Let me send it to my wife and have her look at it. Now ChatGPT steps in and their anxiety's gone. They just don't have that writing ability. I think that's good. But what I'm worried about is, like you said, I hope technology gets to a point where the AI can help us in a way that doesn't make us worse. And right now, and I kind of forgot where I was going with this, so I'll let you go, Bob.
AI gives you a little bit of wings, probably more than you would need. Look at what happened on this work-related social network when people all of a sudden became communication experts. They couldn't articulate what they
Everybody
thought,
has an opinion.
but now everybody has an opinion about everything, and there's just so much AI slop being posted there. It's not valuable. It actually does the exact opposite. It covers the value in AI slop and buries it deep underneath.
I think the question is really, it's very tempting. There's so much change in this space, and we're seeing this unfold in front of our eyes, and we feel very tempted to act right now, to just kind of stop it, change direction, whatever it is. And at the same time, I'm thinking, looking from afar, and I'm like, let it unfold. So see where it ends, because what's the point of intervening now? It's all going to be, overcome tomorrow. And it's all going to be new. And we have to, find new safeguards. So I'm kind of dabbling between these two worlds. And it's kind of philosophical at this point. It's not actionable.
It's kind of like the internet. Like when the internet was first coming online, you have all your parents and your friends getting online. Like they didn't know how to use it. And you have to kind of, this is how it works. I'm an expert. Let me show you how it works. I think AI is the same thing where I was having a conversation with a group of friends and they're not technical and they don't know when AI is lying to them. They don't know to be ready for that. No one's prepped for that. So I think proper education, going in and saying, grain of salt to everything it says. It gives you a source check. Kind of what you're saying. So you have to be ready for that. But I think most people come in going, oh, this is the new Google, and they trust it explicitly. We have to get education out in front. But I agree, like all we can do now is let it unfold and see what happens and be optimistic, because there's no fun in just going the Terminator route or the Matrix route or those routes. Idiocracy, please no. But I'm overly optimistic. I think people will
I think we'll adapt.
yeah, people will
Up until
always
now,
value
technology
people.
has worked to the species' advantage.
It's I mean, can't blame us for being naturally built to look for the easy way out, right? So that's kind of what we're
All
doing.
our parents told us when we were young to learn how to subtract, multiply, all these mathematical functions, because I quote, and I'm pretty sure you have the same quote, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. I do, I have a phone.
You're never going to get paid for sitting in front of a computer.
Right.
Chuck, I hope we're gonna get to see so many more very informative videos and knowledge from your side. We're very thankful that we caught a glimpse of you here on ours. Thank you so much for making it over. Bob and Catalin, thanks for being always staples in the podcasts. And with that said, I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you for watching.